All right, man. Fired up? Tapped in?
I'm about as fired up as Kyle Shanahan is, I think.
I can't wait to see how they deploy Sky Moore in his fresh-ass number 6 jersey. I know that we did a YouTube video, a YouTube exclusive with our reaction to the Sky Moore trade. You can find that at youtube.com/@Candlestick Chronicles Podcast. Highly recommend you go check that out because we're going to refer to it a lot. Everything I said in that, I take back. I take it all back now that he's wearing number 6. I feel so good about the upside. It's just untapped potential. You see the explosiveness. That 1-4-6, 10-yard split. Andy Reid, what does that guy know? Right? He wouldn't know a talented receiver if it smacked him in the face. I think Kyle Shanahan is really going to maximize what Andy Reid and that Chiefs offense couldn't with number 6 Sky Moore.
Yeah, I have some bad news for you, Kyle. Is that
what's that?
If and when he makes the 53-man roster for the regular season, he's probably going to have to change numbers because Malik Mustafa is number 6.
Well, as long as it's not to number 24, we're cooking with gas. So,
yeah. So just to summarize for people who have not watched our YouTube video reacting to the Sky Moore trade,
no, make them watch it.
Basically, your thesis was if he wears number 24, there's just no chance that he's going to be a good player for the Niners.
Cooked.
Okay. So yeah, I'm thinking
high-level analysis over at YouTube.
Right. I'm thinking we're looking at a scenario where if he's number 14, maybe number 4, something like that. Those are reasonable numbers for him, right? Like we could not bury him if he was one of those numbers, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we can start there when it comes to previewing Saturday's game. I think the way the injury situation is playing out for the Niners, I think more important for Kyle Shanahan than identifying starters or solidifying position battles. The key for this game for the Niners is just getting out of it healthy without losing any meaningful contributors. I would imagine the vast majority of snaps are going to go to guys who are either ticketed for the practice squad or just not going to be part of the team going forward. And for those guys, the harsh truth is that they're going to put out tape to, try to land somewhere else or try to extend their career in some other way after not making the team, because the Niners are so injury depleted right now when it comes to like a couple positions that it doesn't make any sense for them to have any sort of urgency to like use any of their guys before week 1. So we can talk about some of those, the specifics in those. I think the biggest issue is probably receiver. They have a couple spots. I mean, the guard positions are a little bit in flux because we don't fully know what's up with Ben Barch and Dominic Pooney.
Sure.
Upton Stout still hasn't returned to practice. There was mumblings on the internet about the team maybe shopping around Jair Brown in a trade, which would just confirm the heck out of my priors. I'd feel great about that.
Would. Yeah.
I don't know how valid that quote unquote reporting is, but we'll see. But yeah, what are you? I guess Sky Moore, like how he looks, how he's used. Is he returning punts? Like, is that the number one thing to take out of Saturday's game? Because to me, that's kind of what it feels like. Like Sky Moore feels like one of the few guys who's probably going to make the roster and get a good amount of playing time on Saturday.
Yeah, that has to be it. Just what does it look like is kind of what it's tough because he's going to have one practice under his belt. Not even. They didn't even officially announce the trade till today. So he's not really going to have a practice, and they're running a vanilla offense. So I guess you're just looking for chemistry with Brock Purdy. Do they do any jet motion stuff with him, or is it just really straightforward? Where does he line up?
I don't think Purdy's going to play, right? Purdy's not.
I'm sorry. You're right. You're absolutely right. He's not going to. But where is he lining up is I think going to kind of be interesting. Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, it's how does he move? I guess it's just going to be first impressions of Sky Moore in what I would hope is a pretty significant sample size for one game. The other thing I have something on the wide receivers that I want to put a pin in, but as for Saturday's game specifically, I'm also kind of interested to see how much Jeff Wilson Jr. plays, because there's a real chance, and if Jordan James comes back and plays, he was only supposed to be out a couple of weeks. It's going to be 2.5 weeks by the time Saturday rolls around. So do they throw him in a game situation if he's ready? That's something I've got an eye on, but Jeff Wilson feels like right now, based on where their running back room is, potentially their second most reliable back behind Christian McCaffrey, which is just kind of crazy, and it speaks to where the 49ers running back room is. And I think if Jeff Wilson starts the game and then doesn't play after the second or third series, it might be a sign that he's not only going to make the team, but he might be a prominent part of their plan at least in the early part of the season.
I don't think Jordan James is going to play because he didn't practice this week still.
Right.
So, I would imagine it's going to be the Jeff Wilson and Keyshawn Vaughn show on Saturday.
Yeah, unless they sign back Israel Abanaconda or something before the game.
Which, honestly, they might.
Sure. Yeah, just to get carries.
Yeah, just to get... Because even, just looking at the guys they have on the roster right now... It's Isaac Guerrero coming off the shoulder injury. You're obviously not going to play Christian McCaffrey. Jordan James probably not going to play because he hasn't practiced. Jeff Wilson, healthy and available. Keyshawn Vaughn, healthy and available. Can you go into a preseason game with just two halfbacks?
Man. Can Jake Tunn just play halfback?
Probably.
Many are asking.
So versatile.
Is he the best player on the 49ers? Just the best overall football player? Remember when Kyle Shanahan said that about Ross Dwelly?
Kyle Shanahan has said some interesting things over the years in press conferences. I don't know. It's going to be an ugly game. But yeah, do they just play two running backs? Do they sign somebody? I would imagine they sign somebody. On Friday, it feels like they're going to make a roster move with one of these running backs that they've had in the building and let go.
I agree.
So just so they can eat some innings on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know what? We haven't talked about it yet. I think the most notable thing coming out of the game is just going to be Trey Lance.
I totally agree. That's going to be the only thing that anyone cares about in that game.
I am fully prepared for Trey Lance looking awesome in the most meaningless preseason game of all time, and everybody freaking out about it.
Yep. That's 1,000% what's going to happen.
Kyle Shanahan has already emotionally punted on this game, given the injury situation.
And Jim Harbaugh doesn't emotionally punt on anything.
Jim Harbaugh is going to run up the score.
With Trey Lance specifically. Trey Lance might throw 9 touchdowns.
He might play the whole game. Trey Lance will run a quarterback sneak with the Chargers up 28 points and 30 seconds left to get him his 5th touchdown of the game.
And they're gonna run a QB power specifically. Get him his 5th touchdown.
Oh, we did talk about in the last podcast about the Jim Harbaugh versus Kyle Shanahan comparison.
Yeah. Kind of we started to, and then we cut it off because we were at the hour mark, and that was going to go another hour.
Right. So, yeah, man. The receiver position. What do you want to say about the receiver position?
I'm going to use the word. I'm going to say it. Fascinated. No, by how they're going to navigate this, because we were talking about this. So we did a 53-man roster projection, on a couple of pods ago. It might have been the last pod. I don't know. We've done so many of these things. So are we coming up on 800 episodes? I think we are.
I'd have to look.
That's bananas. At some point, we're going to have to do something special for one of these milestone shows. But anyways, I digress. Of the 6 wide receivers I had them keeping on the 53-man, 5 of them are currently hurt, and that doesn't include Brandon Ayuk. So 6 of ostensibly their top 7 wide receivers are hurt currently. So let's be optimistic. Let's say that Pearsall is good for week 1. let's say Russell Gage, who's dealing with an MCL injury, only supposed to keep him out 7 to 10 days. Let's say he's ready to go, makes the team. Okay, that's 2. And I'll even give you Juwan Jennings. Let's go Juwan Jennings. So that's 3. Are you still keeping 6 and Jacob Cowing and Jordan Watkins and who am I missing here? Cowing, Watkins. Oh, Ayuk. So are you rostering Watkins and Cowing and bringing up 2 guys from the practice squad? And if Jennings is out, are you rostering the 3 injured guys with you bring up 2 guys from the practice squad? So you're going to go in with 4 receivers? Or are you oh, I forgot about Sky. I keep forgetting about Sky Moore. So it's Sky Moore with Ricky Pearsall and then like practice squad guys going in. It's just it's a mess, man. I think my prediction is that Jacob Cowing is going to make the 53-man, but then go on IR. Okay. I think is how that's going to go.
Okay.
And then that'll leave Moore, Pearsall, and if Jennings is healthy, now if they bring up 2 practice squad guys, that gives them 5 receivers.
Robbie Chosen and Isaiah Hodgins, probably.
Yeah, it'd be my guess.
Depending on the health of Russell Gage. Adam Schefter reported 7 to 10 days for his knee injury, which I guess was Thursday morning. So hypothetically, if that's true, he would be available for week 1.
Yeah.
So you're probably looking at Ricky Pearsall with no idea on Jennings. We still don't know. There's no clarity on that, which is just makes it seem super like it's impossible.
I can't decide if Shanahan's pissed because this is a negotiation thing, or if Shanahan is not pissed but very mum because this is a pretty bad calf injury, or it's an Achilles injury that they're calling a calf injury.
I think if it were a long-term injury, Kyle would say it. Like he's said it with a number of other guys. He's like, yeah, this is going to be weeks.
Yeah, but that was
Jennings is the only guy with no time frame when he talks about injuries. Everybody else, he's pretty clear about what the expectation is in terms of like when he's expecting some of these guys to come back. Jennings is the only one who's not.
I keep going back to the McCaffrey thing last year.
Yeah.
Like that's what hangs up in my mind when I think about and see this Juwan Jennings thing where they're like, oh, he's fine. He'll be back. It's fine. It's just a calf. It's a calf again. It's the same calf, but don't worry about it. He's fine. Like the fact that there's been no elaboration on anything with his injury, it's just like, yeah, it's a calf. I don't know. Calves are tough. Like it's, I don't know.
So Shanahan hasn't said it's fine. Like there hasn't been like if we're in a playoff game, he could play tomorrow type statement. Right. Like that hasn't been made, which makes me think that yes, Jennings is dealing with a calf injury, and it seems like the most plausible scenario is Jennings is just like, yeah, I'm hurt and I'm not going to push the injury or try to come back until I have a new contract, because why would I risk it without any financial security?
Mm-hmm.
That seems to me like the most likely scenario. And the reason why there's like the fact that there's been no reporting on it makes me feel like it's extra sensitive. Right. And it might be something that like maybe Jennings camp leaks something before the preseason game on Saturday or right before final cuts. Like Juwan Jennings is essentially holding in or something. Like it feels like it hasn't come to a head yet, and it feels like it's going to within the next few days, because just like every other injury, and the 49ers have had so many of them, it's been relatively clear on what the expectation is in terms of their return. The only one there hasn't been clarity on is Jennings, and Jennings is also the only one of those guys with like an actual contract dispute.
So he talked about it a little bit in his last presser on Tuesday. The question was, how close is Upton Stout to returning? He said, I hope close. He had a good workout yesterday. Today was a recovery day. Anytime you're dealing with a calf, like calves can linger and add to other things. I mean, just watch some basketball players who deal with that stuff. So I'd like to say sooner than later. I haven't been concerned about week 1 or anything like that, but hopefully it'll be sooner than later. And then somebody said, and with Jawan Jennings? And he said, same thing. And then there was a follow-up. Are you sure that Jawan is good? When the calf is ready, is he good to go for week 1? Yeah, any player, not just Jawan or anyone, but people need to practice. They need to get ready to play an NFL season or you end up getting hurt. So hopefully he can get his health back so he can get that out there and start practicing. And it feels very like it's a serious calf thing and there's no real clarity on when it's going to get better.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm just an idiot and this is all a business thing and I am just blind.
No, I don't know. Like, it feels like it's been so quiet on the contract front that there have been strict, like, sometimes when this stuff happens, there's like strict gag orders on both sides. Like, like whenever deep negotiations are happening, that's when you hear the least about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know. I'm just purely speculating, but it just, to me, it's felt like this thing is going to come to a head at some point from a contractual perspective. So I don't know.
I guess.
Don't know. But in terms of like the receiver position, I would say week 1, Ricky Pearsall. We'll put a pin in Jennings, I guess. Russell Gage, Robbie Chosen, Isaiah Hodges, Malik Turner because he can play special teams, and potentially maybe instead of Chosen, you go with Sky Moore. Mm-hmm. Sky Moore is basically your 3rd or 4th receiver. Russell Gage is your 2nd or 3rd receiver.
Oof.
And then Malik Turner. That's my best guess. So we'll see. The guard position, left guard, Ben Barch dealing with the elbow injury. Connor Colby's been starting. You also have the other guard position in Dominic Pooney. Mm-hmm. Listening to John Lynch speak on radio in the Bay Area today, he basically said that Pooney's working to get back for week 1, but wouldn't make any proclamations in terms of what the time frame is.
Sure.
So I guess the question would be, if Barch is back starting at left guard, is it Connor Colby or Nick Zakelj in Dominic Pooney's spot? Or if Barch is not back, are Colby and Zakelj your starting guards at either spot? Sure. Pooney is back. Like, I don't know. Like, it seems like there are 4 players and any combination of them could start in 2 spots depending on the health of Dominic Pooney and Ben Barch.
The Barch is Back is one of my favorite Elton John songs, but it's Barch, it's Zakelj, and Colby. Who's the 4th? Who am I missing?
Pooney.
Oh, Pooney. Right. Oh, duh. Sorry, I was saying if Pooney's out. Yeah, Zakel's been playing right guard when Colby's been at left guard. And I think
that's
Barch
only because
returned
Barch
with
is out. So if Barch is in, does Colby play over? These are answers that we don't have right now, I think.
Yeah, I would assume I think they might. We talked about this last show, but I think they might be done with Nick Zakelj.
I think so too.
Like, no, the fact that he didn't get any more, it was a left guard battle until Barch came back, and then it was over. And then Barch went down again, and Connor Colby got the starting left guard job. Or I shouldn't say job, starting left guard reps just immediately. Man, that's tough. That's really tough. So I don't, they might just, Colby hasn't repped at right guard, at least not that I'm aware of with the first team at all. But he did play there quite a bit in college, so it wouldn't be totally foreign to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's just a better player than Nick Zakelj, though. And Kyle Shanahan always talks about putting your best 5 guys out there. Also, don't sleep on Spencer Burford. If the Niners really feel like, man, all right, Barch isn't playing, so Colby has to go to left guard, and we really are out on Zakelj, you at least know Burford he started there in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah, but typically what they've done, like Burford has really only gotten playing time at tackle in
this
training
camp,
camp. And they don't love to like only play one guy at tackle and then have him be like a guard like when the regular season starts. So
Right.
I don't know if that necessarily applies here, but it seems like they're penciling Burford in to be their backup left tackle. Maybe he can provide guard depth with Austin Pleasance being their backup right tackle and them having kind of this weird nebulous, like, we don't have a swing tackle, we just have backups at both positions and one of them can like play guard in a pinch.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I'm saying is I think this might be a pinch.
Yeah.
If Barch and Pooney can't play in week 1.
That's fair.
Although I thought Barch is back in practice.
He might have. I could go back and look, but that's not good podcasting. So we will continue with the discussion.
Nice job.
Regardless.
I'll confirm. We'll fix it in post.
You touched on Upton Stout. Still hasn't practiced yet. I'm still pretty convinced he's just going to be the starting nickel, even though he has missed time. My opinion on Chase Lucas hasn't changed. Unless Chase Lucas is like one of the Niners' best special teams guys. I just have a hard time envisioning him making the team because he only plays nickel and he doesn't play any of the other spots. And I think the Niners would rather have Dallas Flowers come in as their third corner on the outside with Diamador Lenore moving to the nickel if Upton Stout can't play, or if Upton Stout got hurt during a game. So I still don't like. I would imagine Chase Lucas is going to play the entirety of Saturday. It's going to be the Trey Lance versus Chase Lucas game in the most meaningless game of all time.
Yeah, it's a big matchup. Who do you think has the advantage?
It's tough to say. Would love to see him. Would love to see Trey Lance in space against Chase and just see how it goes.
Yeah. Best on best.
Best on iron sharpening iron for sure. Would love to see what that looks like.
Ben Barch did not participate in practice today.
Yeah, so like it's hard for me to envision. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's much to learn from Ben Barch even playing in preseason games at this point, but yeah. But how about safety though? Because I would guess if in terms of like, I feel like in terms of competing for like starting jobs, with Jason Pinnock returning to practice, Jair Brown and Marquise Siegel seemingly competing, and the reporters saying at practice on Thursday that they were basically rotating all three guys and mixing and matching with Jair Brown and Marquise Siegel and Jason Pinnock. They might use the preseason game to like gauge where these guys are at in terms of who's going to start. And I do wonder, because Jair Brown was brought in when Steve Wilkes was coordinator, and he seemingly would have trade value to, another personnel department that liked him when he was drafted. He was a 3rd-round pick, after all. That maybe you can trade him, because I don't think he's probably good enough to get a draft pick back, or maybe another, player on the margins at another position of need potentially. But like, I wonder if Jair Brown is going to be on the team or not. I still think no, just because they like Siegel and Pinnock, because those were two guys brought in while Robert Saleh was here. So that, I guess that'll be interesting to see, because I don't know that the Niners care enough about this game to have position battles like be featured, but I do think safety might be one of the few spots where that's like a thing.
You could tell me anything happened in the 49ers safety room and I'll believe it at this point. The thing I wouldn't believe is if they trade Marquise Siegel. That is not a thing I would anticipate happening. But you tell me Siegel and Pinnock started, cool. Jair Brown got traded, cool. Jair Brown and Jason Pinnock started, cool. Marquise Siegel and Jair Brown started, cool. Like, I have no feel. Marquise Siegel has looked awesome in the preseason. And he's gotten a lot of praise from his coaches for how he's looked in the preseason, which leads me to believe that he's also performing well in practice, or at least well enough. Because when guys show out in preseason games, but they're not very good in practice, they talk about needing that to translate in practice and consistency and et cetera, et cetera. And that's not really been the case. So that leads me to believe that he's pretty good. And I think if you're the Niners, you have to lean on youth this year. Mm-hmm. If there's any, especially like it's safety, if you're telling me that everything is mostly equal between Brown and Siegel and Pinnock, then Siegel should play. And figure out the other guy matters less to me. But yeah, if he has another, and again, I guess in this game it'll be looking at playing time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if Jair Brown and Marquise Siegel don't play, and they're both healthy, that probably tells you who's starting week 1, right? But if they both start and Siegel comes out after a series and Jair Brown stays in and plays until the third quarter, like, all right, that's maybe a little dicier for him.
There's a world where like Richie Grant and Jair Brown play like from the third series on. And then it's like Derek Canteen and Jalen Mahoney like late.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And I feel like I feel like it won't bode well for Jair Brown if he gets a ton of snaps in this game. Because that would feel like a showcase, like, hey, we're not going to have this guy in our 53. Like, maybe he can play well so we can get something for him in a trade.
Sure.
But we'll see. I don't know. I don't know that to be true. That's just kind of my feel. Like, NFL coaches, like Brant Boyer, for example. NFL coaches love their guys. And there's no better example than assistant GM Brant Boyer.
Yeah.
Basically cleaning house when it comes to the special teams units.
Yeah.
So I could see a scenario where the Niners look at Jair Brown, because Jair Brown just hasn't been good enough with previous staffs to just assume that Robert Saleh is going to keep him. And if you remember, like when the first time around, Robert Saleh had Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tart. Those guys were like very rangy safeties.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just don't think Jair Brown is like super rangy guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think,
but you love Jason Pinnock's range.
Well, I just think they brought him in.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm being funny.
I haven't seen Jason Pinnock play at all, so
Sure.
I have no idea. But he has started 32 games the last 2 years for the Giants. But
yeah, and he was there when he came into the league with Saleh as their head coach in New York.
Yeah, so it just feels to me like we're headed towards a Siegel Pinnock situation, and if Brown is on the team, it's in like a core special teams world. But like, I don't know. Is that Sir Ron Neal? I don't know.
Maybe. If they trade Jair Brown, that means the 2023 draft, where they had neither a first nor a second round pick, that means they traded up to draft a guy who started for 1.5 years before being traded. And then with the 99th pick, drafted a guy that they brought in, Greg Joseph, to compete with. I'm not even going to say non-zero because it's stronger than that. There is a decent to good chance that both of the 49ers' first picks from the 2023 draft, where they didn't have a first or second round pick, are gone before the end of their third season. Their third pick in that draft was Cameron Latu. He's already gone. Darrell Luter might be gone this year. Robert Beal might be gone this year. Braden Willis might be gone this year. Ronnie Bell already gone. Jalen Graham, sure.
Still around. Hey, D Winters, starter, 6th round pick.
Shout out to D Winters though, man.
Not a total
holding
loss.
It down for the 2023 draft class.
Yeah,
that would be insane if by the end of this season, if D Winters is the only player from a 3, 6, 9 player draft class, that'd be crazy.
Well, you're looking at, I mean, I guess the 2020, you can't look at the 2022 draft too negatively because they did land Brock Purdy in that one.
Well, and Burford's been around, and
Yeah.
Zakel has been around, and Khalid Davis has been around.
Yeah, I would say there's like Moody's going to be the kicker. I would guess Darrell Luter and Bob Beal are going to be on the practice squad. Maybe
Sure.
2 for Braden Willis. Ronnie Bell's gone, and then Jalen Graham feels like a fourth or fifth linebacker or a practice squad guy.
Jalen Graham feels like a Carolina Panther.
Okay. he's getting cut.
Aggregators don't aggregate that.
I guess it's at that point it's probably coming down to special teams. It feels like Curtis Robinson, Tatum Bethune, and Chaz Surratt.
Sure.
I don't know. It's tough to have a feel with the new special teams guy and a new defensive coordinator. Even though Robert Sala's been here before.
It's also tough to have a feel when you're not 100% sure what their goals are for this year.
Right.
Obviously they want to try and win, but are they going to lean on the younger players, or are they going to just piece together kind of a patchwork secondary with veteran guys? Special teams is always going to matter, but and then the injury stuff makes it odd because you got to start putting guys on IR at some point. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Jim Harbaugh or Kyle Shanahan? Who's the better coach?
Jim Harbaugh is probably the better coach, but I think I'd rather have. Yeah, I think he's had success everywhere.
Okay.
But I think I would rather have Kyle Shanahan because I don't know that I'm going to have Jim Harbaugh for more than like 4 or 5 years. And that's and I think too, it depends a little bit on where my team is at. But I think overall in the modern NFL, I think if I'm starting a team, I think I'd rather have Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, so I think what makes the conversation so interesting is how opposite they are.
Right.
Like Jim Harbaugh is like the stereotypical football guy, like physicality, want it more. He's going to like pump up his quarterbacks by beating on their shoulder pads before they play football, like that type of stuff. And like fans love that stuff. And I'm not going to tell fans that they're wrong for liking that stuff. Kyle Shanahan has a much different demeanor. And just is less. I think people like that Jim Harbaugh seems like he has a screw loose, right? Like he's like kind of quirky. I mean, extremely quirky. I covered both of them, and like from a coverage standpoint, you never knew what Jim Harbaugh you were going to get. And being around him every day, and being in press conferences and asking questions, there would be times where he would be helpful and give you a really good answer about a player, particularly if it's just about like heaping praise on somebody and you're just writing kind of a puff piece on a player. He'd be really good in that scenario. Obviously, there are times when you'd be critical and he would really push back and not handle critical questions very well. There would be times where he would just completely just disengage from your question and talk about something else completely unrelated, which was like kind of maddening. It's like I asked about who just, I don't know, random player X, and he would go off on somebody else and completely like ignore the premise of your question, which obviously as a media member isn't helpful. Not that fans care about coaches' interactions with media members, to be sure, but one thing that a lot of football people say that's really important in terms of like just being around them every day is just consistency. Like, are you the same person every day? Like, can you be stable? Can you be reliable? Can you not be volatile? And I think that's probably the biggest difference between Jim Harbaugh and Kyle Shanahan, particularly from a personality standpoint, is the volatility in personality. And it shouldn't be lost on anybody that Jim Harbaugh's tenure with the 49ers, and I'm not saying Jim Harbaugh is like to blame for this or he's the only one involved, because there was Trent Baalke, there was Jed York. It was just a very toxic situation because of all three of those guys. But Jim Harbaugh certainly played a role. and basically left the 49ers in like a nuclear bomb crater. Like they could not recover for 4 years, basically, after he left.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue something kind of similar has happened with Michigan. I know they won a national championship, but he left just as the scandal hit, the sign stealing scandal, suspensions, financial fines, show cause things, like all of that stuff. That's the Michigan football program. They might win a bunch of games. I just don't like it's. He left his mark on the program and bolted at the exact right time to avoid NCAA sanctions, right?
Did you ask me this question just to shit on Michigan?
No, not at all. I love the Wolverines. Shout out to all my Wolverines.
Oh, your Wolverines.
Friends.
Go dark blue. Now, here's the thing. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was
here's
just
the thing.
Make a joke about how Michigan alums love to let people know that they went to Michigan. But anyway,
oh, they sure do. They sure do. So do Sac State alums. Stingers up, baby. So, here's the thing with Jim Harbaugh that I think is really interesting, because I'm sure there's people listening to this podcast who, when I said I'd rather have Shanahan, they're like, "Wow." But first of all, Shanahan is going to be tied with Buck Shaw for the second longest tenure as head coach in 49ers history after this year.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a year shy of Bill Walsh, which is pretty amazing. And the fact that the 49ers in 9 years under Kyle Shanahan have never had back-to-back losing seasons. Excuse me, I guess his first two, but since 2019, haven't had back-to-back losing seasons is pretty impressive. I think the thing with Harbaugh is because two lost conference title games and a loss in the Super Bowl. Shanahan, 2 lost conference title games, 2 losses in the Super Bowl. I think the difference is, and the reason that people still yearn for the Jim Harbaugh era is because he wasn't around long enough for people to get tired of him. People didn't get tired of losing under Jim Harbaugh because they didn't do it enough. They went to the conference title game in 2011. It was their first playoff trip since 2002 and their first conference title game since 1997. So they go to that title game, then they go to the Super Bowl, then they go to the title game. They could have won all 3 of those games that they lost. And then they go 8-8. They go 8-8. He gets fired. And everybody was like, but wait, we were good. What happened? Like, why did you? And he didn't get to not get over the hump. He didn't get to have a couple of bad years where people blame Jim Harbaugh for it. So I think that's the difference, is Kyle Shanahan has just been around so long and they've been so good for so long that the expectation is so high that it's now, oh, he didn't get over the hump. He can't get over the hump. Jim Harbaugh just wasn't around long enough to get the he can't get over the hump label. And I think that's the difference. I think they're both awesome football coaches. If you're starting a team and you wind up with either of those guys, I think you're going to be in a really, really good spot. I think there's just a portion of the 49ers fan base that is tired of Kyle Shanahan or thinks his tenure has run its course, and Jim Harbaugh just never got the opportunity to get there as a coach.
Yeah, and I think there are a couple other things. One, which is kind of like an ugly side of the conversation, which I don't love having, but I think is worth pointing out.
Okay.
There hasn't been like a Ray McDonald, Alden Smith, Ahmad Brooks, Bruce Miller, like off the field series of issues with players under Kyle Shanahan. CJ Spillman, right?
Oh, he might have been with Dallas. I don't want to put that on Harbaugh. That might have been in Dallas.
No, sure. I'm not putting all of it on Harbaugh, but there was a lot of like defending the players and innocent until proven guilty when it came out later that these players were in fact guilty. And you could make a pretty strong case that there was some enabling of some pretty bad behavior.
Yeah.
And some kind of looking the other way in favor of winning football games with Jim Harbaugh. That certainly has not happened. You know, I think with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, like is Reuben Foster like the only one? And even that one,
it feels like the
got
Reuben.
Out of,
yeah, it feels like that
pretty fast.
It feels like that was such a disaster that they made it a point to shy away from problematic players in that way moving forward.
Right.
And
So
there might be one we're missing here that we're just totally spacing on, but I can't remember another incident of that, the domestic violence type of incident.
Right. So in terms of that type of stuff, I think obviously the two coaches have handled those types of situations very differently. For the most part anyway, and at least from like a team construction perspective. And obviously Trent Baalke and John Lynch play roles in that, of course. So I don't just want to put that squarely on the coaches, but I think that's a stark difference in their tenures, at least with the 49ers. The other thing, you have a lot of coaches who were either assistants with Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers or assistants with Kyle Shanahan elsewhere who have gone on to be successful head coaches in the league. Whereas you didn't have a coaching tree, there's no successful Jim Harbaugh coaching tree where like, oh, this guy is a head coach here and this guy's a head coach, like that hasn't really happened. And again, that's not necessarily like a decider in like which coach you like better or who you think's a better coach. But I think it's part of the discussion of like, Kyle Shanahan hired Sean McVay with Washington, and Mike and Matt LaFleur and Mike McDaniel and D'Amico Ryans, right, who's considered one of the best up and coming coaches in the league still. So there's that too. I think is like that's part of the conversation. So I mean, for me, like my opinion is colored by the fact that I covered both guys, and obviously like Jim Harbaugh being just a volatile personality was difficult to cover. And people, again, the vast majority of people listening to this podcast aren't going to care. Like that's not going to change their opinion of Jim Harbaugh.
Sure.
But to me, like if I'm trying to choose a coach, I will take the consistency of Kyle Shanahan 7 days a week. You know what I mean? Just like I know what Kyle Shanahan is going to be day in and day out versus like riding the Jim Harbaugh roller coaster. And maybe Jim Harbaugh has gotten better at that. We'll see.
I'm going to go ahead and doubt that.
Yeah, he's kind of it's kind of an old dog, new tricks, I think, scenario with Jim. And what's interesting about it, they're both wildly successful for very different reasons. Like Kyle Shanahan is like the tactical, like I can sit in a meeting and talk X's and O's all day and like blow your mind with how I look at X's and O's. And Jim Harbaugh can like give you a 5-minute pump up speech and like you'll go run through a brick wall for him. Like they're just very different types of coaches. But I think for the modern NFL, like I think Jim Harbaugh, and he leans into it for sure, but Jim Harbaugh is like classic 70s, 80s, like football guy mentality.
Oh yeah.
And Kyle Shanahan is much more in tune with like the modern version of football.
Also, something that I also think counts for something here is when you ask players about playing for Kyle Shanahan, every player I've ever asked personally or seen ask this question, it's like, loved it. Like, what a time. Players coach through and through. And I think that kind of matters.
Yeah, I don't think that was the case in, say, 2014, like post the, the
you
Ravens.
mean when everybody retired?
Yeah. Everybody was like, nah, I'm cool. I'm good.
So yeah, both amazing. I hate pitting people like that against each other because it's never about accolades. It's always about like, what does this person do worse than the other person? So like I said, I just want to I think they're both really, really good coaches. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. Just very, very different styles.
Yeah. And I think like one thing that Jim Harbaugh had going for him was that like the turnaround. Like Kyle Shanahan had a turnaround, but it took like 3 years. Like it took him 3 seasons to turn the organization around. He got hired in 2017. They went to the Super Bowl in 2019. And even that felt like kind of quick. Jim Harbaugh did it in 1 year.
Yeah.
But it's also, the difference being Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch completely tore the roster down.
Right.
their first year, completely rebuilt the thing into a Super Bowl contender. The Niners just plugged in Jim Harbaugh, took basically the same roster that they had the previous couple years, and then rocketed to contention. So, less of a rebuilding project. But it's an interesting conversation. Like, I don't fault people for liking Jim Harbaugh. I think it's just like a stylistic preference thing more so than like, because they've both been wildly successful in the NFL,
right?
And neither's won a Super Bowl. So,
right. But the what if lingers with Jim Harbaugh, and the what could have been. Alas,
here we are. Those playoff games in Candlestick, man, 2011, 2012 were insane.
It's like a fortress.
Insane. Some of the best atmospheres I've ever experienced as a sports fan.
Yeah, it did. It felt like football. You get that cold Candlestick weather, the wind, that even the NFC title game against the Giants, where the fog and it's not raining, but it's just wet.
Yeah,
we've had some. What a place!
We've had some weather games in Levi's, but it hasn't felt like you're saying, like Candlestick. Like Candlestick weather was unique in that little spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it was its own microclimate.
Yeah, it's its own like super windy. Like you get some weird winds and stuff, but it just doesn't feel like, oh, we're going to Levi's in January. The weather is going to be insane. It's like, yeah,
going to Levi's in January. I need to bring my sunscreen.
For real. I remember the Super Bowl after Super Bowl 50, it being in February, and I was in the auxiliary press box, which was in the sun for most of the day. And being like, it wasn't hot, but it was like, yeah, you're still in the sun. Still need sunscreen.
Yep.
It felt a lot more like LA than San Francisco, but just is what it is.
It sure is, man. That's all I got. Can't wait for real football.
Niners versus Trey Lance and Jim Harbaugh. I just know that that's going to be like the massive talking point.
I got to tell you,
this game.
The video Grant Cohn puts out after Trey Lance goes 21 of 24 for 238 yards and 3 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown is going to be iconic. Yeah, it's going to be an iconic post. Yeah, can't wait.
Brock Purdy would never.
Oh, no, because he wouldn't play in the preseason. I do genuinely think that Kyle Shanahan, like day one of training camp, hey, you absolutely have to answer this question. What's the plan to play the starters in the preseason? My guess is he would have said in week 3, the starters play 1 series if it goes well, 2 series if there's a 3-and-out. And I think that the injury situation is such that he has just fully pulled the plug on all that.
Yeah, I mean, what starters would play? I'm trying to think. Like,
you mean today or on Saturday now?
On Saturday, like Jason Pinnock.
Maybe.
D. Winters.
Sure.
But
even stuff, if you think like Bryce Huff and D. Winter, they got to play like a series.
Luke Gifford, maybe you're starting Sam linebacker. I could see him playing a little bit.
Sure. I mean, Brock Purdy, Trent Williams, George Kittle. No. My guess is all those guys were like in line to play.
Right.
And it's just reached a point that it's like, nope.
No, yeah. To your point, there's probably a world where this is like the dress rehearsal, the quote unquote dress rehearsal game.
Yeah.
But that's basically out the window.
Yep.
So it'll be fun. Super fun. Wish it was an afternoon game like the Raiders game. That'd be much better, but alas. All right. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you go to Cooperage and pick up your Candlestick Chronicles Hazy IPA. What are you laughing at?
Micah Parsons just tweeted with the peace sign emoji a graphic that says Micah 7:8. Even if I fall, I will rise. The Lord is my light.
Okay. Candlestick Chronicles Hazy IPA is available wherever, or I think in most places where Cooperage distributes their beer throughout the Bay Area. Cooperage is going to be having beer inside Levi's Stadium, maybe as soon as Saturday. I should get confirmation on that, but I think
we really need to be better about letting people know where to get the beer that we're hawking.
Yeah, well, you can definitely get it in Santa Rosa at both of their locations. Ross Street downtown. I honest like full stop. The new spot on Ross Street in downtown. I think it's the best place to drink beer in all of Santa Rosa. Maybe all of Sonoma County. Maybe all of the North Bay. I'm gonna plant my flag. The Cooperage in Ross Street is the best place to drink beer in the entire North Bay. Full stop. It is that cool of a spot.
All right.
And if you go there and it's not, let me know. But I think if you go in there, you'll be like, wow, I see what Chris is saying. This place is amazing.
Every photo I've seen of it makes it look like a place that I would like to drink beer. I can't wait to get up there.
It's like a former art gallery, so there's like all this amazing stuff on the walls, and then they added all the TVs and a pool table and arcade games, and it's like you can bring your kids and you can bring dogs and everything, and the food trucks. It's just like it's a great place. You can also order Candlestick Chronicles Hazy IPA for your tailgates since the season's coming up, or even as soon as Saturday. Off Cooperage's website, cooperagebrewing.com. And they will deliver anywhere within the state of California. Obviously, you have to be 21 or older. But make sure you check it out, man. It's really good. I'm probably going to have some tonight. I got to hang some bistro lights. So maybe I'll... It's been an ordeal. We had to do... The other night, we had to do a fact... It was more of a fact-finding mission than executing the... It was kind of the walkthrough. Right, it was a walkthrough, and then we're having the practice tonight. We're figuring out, going through the playbook, getting organized, and tonight
you've watched some tape. You've been in the lab.
We're gonna focus on executing tonight. It's an ordeal, but it's gonna look awesome. So anyway, subscribe, rate, and review. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will talk to you guys later.